Auditors, you will pass this by motion on to July 3rd meeting. The annual tax budget has two purposes. First is to project revenues and for 2019 for each fund in the budget. It also becomes the high end of what we can appropriate in the 2019 budget. It also supports the need for the annual property tax levy that is held by the city each year. We have distributed it in your packet. It has been put on the web page for the workbook for the public to look at. It's ready for a public hearing this evening, and Finance Director Burton's here if there are any questions.
Okay, very good. Well, with that, I'll open the public hearing. If there's anyone to speak in favor of the proposed 2019 tax budget, invite you down. Speak in favor of. Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the proposed 2019 tax budget? No, speak in favor of. Okay. Hearing no in favor or against, we'll close the public hearing and move on with the rest of our meeting. Any questions from council on the tax budget for Mr. Atkins or Mr. Burton? Okay. All right, that brings us to our citizen comments this evening. I've received a few cards. First, I'd like to invite Mr. Jason Wargo down, please. Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Detective Jason Wargo. I'm the Vice President of Lodge 36, the Police Officers Union for the City of Middletown. I'm here to speak against the changing of the city charter in regards to opening up the police chief's position to outside hires. The last meeting you requested a vote from the union, and we had 39 people vote and all voted no. I haven't had a chance to talk to every single officer about this, but from the ones I've talked about, they believe that the people who are next in line to take the chief's position, any single one of them would fill that position very well, and that's why we don't think we need to go outside the city to try to find someone. You know, I didn't grow up in Middletown, but I've been here for over 17 years as an officer. And even though the next people in line are kind of in the same position, they may have not have grown up in this city, but they devoted a lot of time and a lot of effort to this city and would like to have that opportunity to take the next step to, you know, run this department and run it well the way it's been running well. I guess that's about all I have.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming down and sharing your thoughts. Next, I have Miss Holly Owens. Good evening. If we get your name and address to the record, please.
Holly Owens. I'm a member of the FOP 36. I've been a member for about 20 years now. I'm here because I'm against the Charter Committee's decision to approve opening the police and fire chief's position to outside candidates. The Charter Committee did not contact the FOP or speak with our membership to get our thoughts on this decision. I wonder if they've even contacted the Ohio Association Chiefs of Police or the International Association Chiefs of Police to gather information from them regarding studies they've done on outside chiefs. When you hire from within your department, you are getting someone who has put in years of hard work for this department and for the citizens of Middletown. We are the ones who have already established relationships with the Middletown community. We've been with them through the good and the bad. We are there working hand in hand with our community every day to make it better, and we have dedicated our careers to this community. And no one knows this police department and the city of Middletown better than our officers. Our officers already have an understanding of how the department operates, what resources we have available. We have hands-on experience working on our budget, what works and doesn't work here, among other things. All of this will make the transition to the new chief taking over much smoother. We already have several officers who have worked hard to move up the ranks and have aspirations to lead this department and will be very qualified to do so. Several of them are in this room right now. I encourage you to take the time and talk to those officers, or even come do a ride along with them and see firsthand for yourself. And I guarantee that you'll find that there are more than enough qualified internal candidates to lead this department for quite a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Lamar Farrell. Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Lamar Farrell, 1900 Johns Road. Here on behalf of Baraka Church Council, we had an incredible week, and with Hope Over Heroin. We connected with 49 struggling addicts who want help and treatment. I think we all know that we're facing an epidemic in our city, and we've put a lot of time and resource into this effort. We gave 46 families the opportunity to remember their lost loved ones in a special way, with community surrounding them in love. We gave backpacks filled with school supplies and treats to 100 children. We secured 44 businesses to donate goods, services, and/or monetary donations. We unified 9 local churches for a common goal. And what was exciting to us was to see 22 people baptized. And what that means is baptism is that step that these believers took, which means they have given their life to Christ, and they were baptized there on the property. It was a powerful, powerful weekend, both Friday and Saturday night. We enjoyed hosting that. Our plans and desire is that we will host that again next year. My disappointment is that I didn't see any of you from council. That was a disappointment, and maybe I missed you. This is a huge thing that we're talking about. I don't think heroin epidemic is, to any of us, is something that we don't know about. And so I was looking for you. Judge Sharon was there. There were police and firefighters there. But my disappointment was that no one from city council came. I love you guys. I pray for you. We love this city. I pastored for 20 years, not going anywhere. We believe that we'll be here until God says enough is enough. But this is our home. This is our city. This is the place that we dearly love. For 15 years, I've had the privilege of serving as the chaplain for the police department. Some years after that, we were asked to start a chaplaincy for our fire department. I'm pleased tonight to share with you, if you didn't see the article in the paper, that Jim Tinch is the new lead chaplain for our fire department. Our fire department is blessed to have him. He's on staff at Baraka. He's our pastor of leadership development. The last thing that I want to say is that I think we all understand community, and I think we all love our community. In fact, I look around the table today, and I would say and submit to all of you that you all are shepherds in this city. And I think you understand when you shepherd people and you shepherd the lives of people, you're responsible for those people. And as you and I shepherd this city together, I think we would all say that we want to win. As we look at the possibility of putting on the charter, hiring outside chiefs, I would submit to you tonight to think about some things. First of all, do you want a hireling or do you want a shepherd? John chapter 10 tells us that a hireling is there just for the money, and a shepherd is there because of care and compassion and love. I have loved to see these departments, both fire and police, I have loved to see them continue. And it's been amazing to see the morale. Both chiefs are doing an excellent job, and I believe as I look at the ranks from chief on down, we have some incredible possibilities and candidates as we look forward to our future. So I would say to you tonight to consider Cincinnati as you look at an illustration for police. It hasn't worked, but you can go closer. And I know from private conversation, even in Monroe, when you hire from the outside, you don't know the culture, you don't understand it. Thank you for all you do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and last card I have this evening is from Frank Bauman. Good evening. If we get your name and address for the record, please.
Frank Boffman, represent Local 336 firefighter. I want to just basically echo Officer Orgo, Officer Owens' comments tonight. We spoke last meeting. I think you know where we stand. Ms. Vittori asked for a vote. 66 against bringing a chief in from the outside, 1 person for. I think that speaks volumes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, that concludes the cards I have this evening. We can move to our city manager reports. Mr. Atkins?
Oh, yes, Your Honor. I'm going to take literally 3 minutes and tell you that I don't have a dog in this fight, and I don't have a strong opinion, but I do want to give the other side of the chief's position on that. And that is, in the future, you know, the charter's about the process. It's not about the people. I've done my very best to put good chiefs and good assistant chiefs, deputy chiefs in police and fire. We've done our best to strengthen all of those roles, and I think that in the future, I agree, the people that we have in place now are well suited to take over. There are some situations, though, that could come up where you may want to consider an outside person. You may not. First one is, so we have at times had people in the time I've been at this city that were good at passing tests, but not necessarily great officers in police and fire. And you could have them move up because they are first in rank on the test, but not necessarily the best operational person to run the department moving forward. And you could come up to a place where you have neither candidate or either of the 3 candidates that you want to lead your police or fire department. Again, that's not something I think is probably likely to happen in the next year or several years, but you could have that, and it has happened in the past. Second, and I'm going to wipe out some of my police officers in demonstrations, if you put Scott and Leanne and Rodney in a car and sent them to Columbus for training and they got T-boned by a truck and wiped out, the remaining majors that are there were sergeants a year ago. You may have a situation where you have great officers who are simply not ready yet to step up and lead the department because they simply haven't had enough administration to move that department forward. They could grow into the job, but you may want to consider bringing in somebody to shepherd them and move them to get them ready to take over from the tragedy. The third one is 40 or 50 years ago, we had a major scandal in our police department. And while I don't think, again, I see anything coming in the future that would do that, there may be a time that you want to have a culture change in your police or your fire department. And it's going to be hard to have culture change if you're going to turn around and bring the number 2 guy and bring him up to number 1. That's not a culture change. That's just removing a chief. Again, those are unlikely. I agree. And again, I don't have a strong opinion about this. If you want to give me that power, if the voters want to give me that power to look at an outside candidate, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine too. The other thing I would do, and Officer Wargo mentioned this a little bit, I asked HR to pull the amount of people in police and fire that live in the city. And the answer is 40% of our police officers live in the city of Middletown, 25% of our fire department lives in Middletown, which means although you would have an internal candidate, there's a 6 out of 10 chance that your next police chief will not live within the city. There's a 7 out of 10 chance that your next fire chief will not live within the city of Middletown. But they are right that they have served here by the time they get up to be considered for chief, probably for 15 to 20 years in your city. So again, I'm not pushing hard either way, but I think it's important if you're going to vote on it that you hear both sides. You vote however you want to, and frankly, if it goes to the voters, it doesn't. I don't have a strong opinion either way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else to report then, Mr. Atkins?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. That brings us to our consent agenda this evening. Ms. Gank?
For your consideration this evening, the approval of the City Council minutes from June the 5th, 2018, to receive and file Board and Commission minutes from the Planning Commission for April 11th, 2018, to confirm the personnel appointments of Justin Scott, Maintenance Worker, Public Works and Utilities, Adam Chandler, Bruce Hopper, Jane Martz, all part-time bus drivers in the Community Revitalization Department, Division of Transit, to purchase a water service van off the ODAS contract for the Division of Water Maintenance in the total amount of $27,627.50 from Middletown Ford, and to purchase a snowplow truck off the ODAS contract for the Division of Street Maintenance in the total amount of $78,585.03 from Rush Truck Centers of Cincinnati.
All right, do we have a motion for the approval of the issues and actions as listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Gank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
All right, we have 2 motion items.
To approve the sale of a city-owned lot at 1005 Elwood Street, parcel numbers Q65110210000045, Q65110210000046, and Q65110210000047. Greg Snelling owns a property next door at 2001 Titus, which is to purchase this lot to extend his yard. He would acquire the property through the Mow to Own program, be responsible for maintaining the lot for 1 year. If there are no violations, the city would deed him the lot at that time.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Mr. Atkins, anything else to add?
Just briefly, that these three lots together, or these three parcels are one residential lot. And this is, again, one that we've had in process for a while that we're bringing before you, and we are recommending approval.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from council? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Second thing on the motion agenda item is to receive, file, and accept the Tax Incentive Review Committee report.
Okay, we have a motion to receive, file, and accept the Tax Incentive Review Committee report.
Second.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, each year the TIRC, the Tax Incentive Review Committee, reviews the status and performance of all of our tax agreements, granting exemptions from property tax in the TIF districts. They have recommended continuing 8 agreements and recommended continuing all the TIFs. You do have the report, and it's ready for your adoption this evening.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Atkins on the TARC report? All right, hearing none. Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That brings us to our council comments. Start with Mr. Mulligan this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no comments tonight.
Mr. Bohannon?
I just want to thank everyone for coming and showing up tonight and voicing their opinion on these issues. It's very important that we hear from the people that this is affecting the most. Thank you.
Ms. Vettori?
I want to say thank you to Ward 2 and Wanda Glover for a terrific parade that I got to be the Grand Marshal of. I didn't realize I was getting a proclamation at the end, and I had to jet because I had 2 birthday parties. I apologize for missing a very fun part. I did come around later and get to enjoy the festival with the boys, but it was a really nice parade. We had a great time. Whoever the guy was behind us, we should hire for all of our events. He was doing shout-outs, and it was really fun to go through the neighborhood. So thanks to everyone in Ward 2 and everyone that supported that event.
Vice Mayor Moon?
Yes, I just had one comment. I wanted to thank the Charter Review again, but specifically for their strong language on developing a sustainable way to fund our roads and the condition they're in. I know there's already some work and research going on in that, but I just wanted to express to Mr. Atkins that I know I and the rest of council are looking forward to working with staff on developing a way to sustainably and dependably fund our future road improvements. Thank you.
Thank you. Along those lines, in terms of thank folks, I do want to recognize that we have our 4th of July parade coming up and the festivities on July 3rd, which will be our next meeting, but it'll be here before we know it, now that we're into the full summer heat. I want to thank the organizers for that and the work that goes into that. It's a great community event to come together at Smith Park. I think we'll have some good entertainment that night, a great fireworks show, and a fun time on the 3rd, and then the parade on the 4th, which will be something to look forward to as well. Along Vice Mayor Moon's comments, I did put forth an email to council, and we'll probably circulate some more stuff, and we'll encourage council to debate this a little bit more, but we do have a little bit of time to really dig into what we can do about our roads and infrastructure improvements. As Mr. Moon mentioned, the Charter Review Committee did look at the charter for a possible road or capital improvements levy, and while they didn't pick that up to do it, I still think there's a need that we should consider it and come up with a mechanism to focus on improving our roads. We're fortunate that Mr. Atkins has a very good plan in place to get us to a point of sustainability in terms of a structurally balanced budget, generate enough jobs and income tax through growth. But I'm a little concerned that with the condition of the roads and the fact that we really haven't had a dedicated portion of our funding for over 30 years, they've reached a point where we really need to step forward and do something. So I'm proposing, and we'll put forth to council again just to firm this up a little bit more, but a 10-year 0.25% income tax levy for the voters to consider, and that would be dedicated strictly to roads and road improvements. I think that would allow us to really accelerate our growth and in a limited time frame, help address some of the critical areas we have in terms of infrastructure improvements. I think over that time, at the 10 years, that will allow us to, again, fully execute and implement the strategic plan that Mr. Atkins has put together that focuses on residential growth, that brings in new homeowners and new homes and new home developments, as well as some additional opportunities for additional employment and jobs, which create certainly additional income tax revenue that gets us to that sustainable portion where we can have a dedicated portion going forward for street improvements. So looking forward to that, and we'll be presenting that, and I think we hopefully will be able to get that in time. I think with the cutoff for the levy or the county for that is going to be, is it July 20th?
We are working on that date and also projections on what that will be. I should have it in the next day or two.
That's fine. So I look forward for more to come on that. Share that with council, and certainly appreciate your consideration on that. And again, something I think I hear from a lot of folks out there that there is a general concern about the condition of the roads, and certainly want to address that as best we can and move forward with that. And that is all I have for my comments. So we'll move to Ms. Cohen and the legislation for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before getting started this evening, we have 5 matters that we're asking you to consider as an emergency. So I'd ask for a motion to waive charter requirements for 2 readings and 30 days to enactment regarding Resolution R 2018-10, Resolution R 2018-11, Ordinance O 2018-23, Ordinance O 2018-24, and Ordinance O 2018-39.
I move to waive the charter provision requiring readings on 2 separate days and declare the previously read resolutions and ordinances and emergency measure to be read one time only.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Thank you. That'll take us to our first matter, Resolution R 2018-10, a resolution amending Resolution Number R 2018-08, declaring the necessity of repairing certain sidewalks, curbs, and gutters in the city of Middletown, requiring that abutting property owners repair the same, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Atkins.
Yes, Your Honor, you passed Resolution 2018-08 for the 2018 local street improvements that requires designated owners to repair defective sidewalks, curbs, and gutters and driveway aprons. As they started to get ready on the work, they found out that 3 parcels had been left off of that. I asked Public Works how that worked, and they said it's an automated process that they designated. The computer selects it, and for some reason, they said it's never happened before, but this time the computer didn't pick up 3 of the parcels. This would add them to that. We are asking for emergency so that those homeowners will have as much time as possible to do the work themselves if they so choose.
Very good. Any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
The next matter is Resolution R 2018-11, a resolution describing the boundaries of a community reinvestment area in which housing facilities are located and new housing construction and repair of existing facilities or structures are discouraged in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 3735.65 through 3735.70, designating a housing officer to administer the community reinvestment area and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion or second, Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. Hope House Mission has been working with the model group for a year or 2 now to relocate to 1001 Grove Street. The project will include removal of those current structures and there's construction of a 35,000 square foot facility. As part of the financing package, both the waiver that's going to be at one of your later ordinances and then the addition of a community reinvestment area tax abatement will allow this to go forward. We are recommending approval.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Abstain.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Item number 3 is Ordinance O 2018-23, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Grove Street PSH LLC and/or Hope House Rescue Mission to waive permit fees and impact fees for the redevelopment of 1001 Grove Street and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, Mr. Atkins, I know we had this previously, but
This was, yeah, previously presented at the last meeting. This is for up to $25,000 in fee waivers from the city to, again, assist with the project.
okay. Any questions, Mr. Atkins? All right, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon,
Abstain.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes?
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
Item number 4 is ordinance O 2018-24, an ordinance modifying the designated outdoor refreshment area, establishing requirements to ensure public health and safety within such area, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, do a motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Atkins.
This was presented at the last meeting. This would extend door hours from noon until midnight, 7 days a week. It is recommended for approval.
Okay, any other questions or comments from council?
I just wanted to respond that I appreciate staff getting back to me that there were no uptick in police responses or change in delivery method during the door hours. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion or second. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 5 is ordinance number O 2018-39, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Cincinnati State Community and Technical College for the development of an avionics program and declaring an emergency.
Okay, motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Motion or second. I know we discussed this previously. Mr. Atkins, anything to add?
No, Your Honor, this is from previous discussions to add the avionics program this fall at Cincinnati State's Middletown campus. We will make a one-time contribution of $66,000 to the purchase software and hardware to get it off the ground. MAID will contribute an additional $6,000. This will come out of the existing economic development budget for 2018. There's no supplemental appropriation needed. We are asking for emergency approval so that they can get stuff purchased and be ready to go this fall.
Very good. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Item number 6 is ordinance number O 2018-25, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment of Article 1, Section 1 and 3, and Article 2, Sections 2 and 3 of the Charter of the city pertaining to the structure and composition of city council.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion or comments from council?
Your Honor, I will just let you know that Mr. Landon is here, and also members of the Charter Review Committee are here if there are any questions on any of the charter provisions this evening.
Very good, thank you. Okay. There are no discussion or comments from council. Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Item number 7 is ordinance number O 2018-26, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 2, Section 11 of the Charter of the city, requiring a copy of the annual report of the city to be on file at the city library.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
It's our second reading. Any other discussion or comments from council? All right, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Number 8 is ordinance O 2018-27, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 3, Section 3 of the Charter of the city pertaining to the appointment of city employees.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion or comments from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
No?
Ms. Vettori,
No.
Okay, motion carries 3-2. Okay.
Next matter is ordinance O 2018-28, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 3, Section 8 of the Charter of the city pertaining to the power of city council to delegate to the city manager the ability to change the organizational structure of city administration.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or comments from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
No.
Mr. Bohannon,
No?
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-2.
And the next matter is ordinance number O 2018-29, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 3, Section 8 of the Charter of the city pertaining to placing the chiefs of the divisions of fire and police in the unclassified service.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion or comments from council?
I just wanted to say to the guys here tonight and the gals, I'm going to be a yes on this, and I wanted to explain to you why. I think both sides have made a great case. There's pros and cons to keeping it as it is and to changing it. And in such a case, I think it's best to let our public decide. And I just wanted to give you that respect and tell you that right now.
Any other comments?
I would just add that the charter change here would not preclude the city from hiring from within, and certainly if there's qualified candidates, they will be reviewed and interviewed and given a shot to take the top job. So gives our administration some flexibility in the future if the need arises, as Mr. Adkins alluded to. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything else to add?
I would just add, as the wife of a Marine, and I'm not sure if anyone's served at this table, but I'm a big fan of culture of leadership, and I think in a first responder world, I can't understand, except from secondhand experience with my husband, what that means, and I think that it's very vital to the success and the happiness and the functionality of an organization that has to deal with life and death every day, and I think that's very different than anything that you can look at pragmatically, and I think that it sends signals that can have ramifications. So I support and thank both of those chiefs for what they've done, and the votes that came in to me indicate what those people want, and so I would just encourage everyone to consider that.
Thank you.
Well, I would just add to the, what was in today's journalnews.com was that one of our assistant fire chiefs is looking, to advance his career outside the city. And I think that's great if he wants to take a position elsewhere. But it's an indication that I think it goes both ways. And when we're trying to build a government that looks more like business and acts like business, we have to give our management the opportunity to hire the best candidate, whether that's from within or from without. Thank you.
Thank you. I just add too that I share a lot of those thoughts and do appreciate everyone coming out to support that. I appreciate the Charter Review Committee really digging into this and studying it. I do know they had a lot of research on a lot of different topics that they looked at and evaluated the best way to deliver this. This is the second time this has come up since I served as mayor. It was probably 9 years ago when it was considered as well. At that point, we did not put it on the ballot, and I think in that time we've probably had 3 or 4 chiefs, I think, and all of, again, it's been pointed out, have progressively built upon the successes of the former. And I think we've really reached a point. We've got some great capabilities and great teams on both sides, in both police and fire. But to the other side, it is, I think, certainly amount of flexibility to have that available in the hiring process. One, it certainly holds candidates that are internal to a very high standard if it gives the management the ability to look outside. But also, it also gives the internal candidates, I think, a leg up in many regards because they do know the community, they live here or they work here, they know the issues, and I think that certainly becomes evident. But there could be times where that may be a real challenge. As has been pointed out, there are circumstances, and this is a model that's in place in other communities, sometimes successful, sometimes not. Sometimes they go inside, sometimes they go outside. And I think it's really allows a lot of flexibility and something to consider. So that's, I'll probably be voting yes on this. I'm going to give it a little more thought as we go around here, but it's certainly an important decision, and it is important to put it out to the voters to let them decide. We represent the voters. It is up to the voters to determine their charter and what they think is best for the community going forward, and it'll be up to them to make this decision. So if there's nothing else.
I asked the question again last, and I know we spoke about it, because if this is going to go down like it's going to go down, is there a way to have a mechanism? So it's a matter of if and only if the internal candidates are not at a level that, however we would judge that to be, then we go outside. Like, where is the language in all of this? As opposed to from the get-go, day one, Mr. from Indiana can apply at the same time.
Thought I'd come down here so the recording device could pick me up. Nobody has any trouble hearing me, but the recording device might. The answer to your question is that the specific mechanism was not covered by Charter Review Committee. They looked at the issue. They talked to a member of our HR staff about this who came to one of the meetings, and they felt that that was of significant enough magnitude beyond what they were designed to do. It was a little too far in the weeds for them to get, and they said, we don't want to create the exact mechanism. And therefore, the mechanism, if this goes on the ballot, if it is passed, the mechanism would be one that ultimately would be created by the city council to deal with that. The mechanism will not be automatic. The mechanism will be that this council, knowing that the charter will be changed, I would anticipate would instruct HR to create some kind of format that they would like to see. Could that format include a insider first or insider preference? It could. That's going to be up to city council, because ultimately that ordinance is going to have to be adopted by this council. So,
But
no.
that can't be a change to, that couldn't be part of the charter. The charter itself could not say insider first. Like, can we amend, and this is my first go-around, so I apologize if I just don't know how it works.
Sure.
But are we able to amend the language before it goes to the ballot?
Sure.
So that it would say insider first, and then if only we can't find a candidate, we go out.
Yes, we would have to figure out how to craft the language to say that in an effective way. You know, insider first meaning what? Does that mean if they pass the test, if they score higher on the test, if they're alive and breathing? What gives the insider first the automatic pick? And any mechanism you create is going to want to address, if there's an insider first preference, how that preference is set up and what triggers it.
I guess, could the charter say insider first, and then when we get to the mechanism, we can figure out what that means?
The current language we have does not say that, right?
No, the current language simply changes. It takes the chiefs out of the language that says they are in the classified service, and then it specifically clarifies that they would be placed in the unclassified service.
I would just add, if this does go on the ballot and does get passed, I would be interested in an ordinance or resolution saying that we prefer an internal candidate. I don't know what the test is or what the process is, but all things being equal, I would much rather prefer an equally qualified internal candidate as opposed to an equally qualified.
I think in almost all circumstances, that's going to be your best bet.
And to answer your
would bring back is to say, here's a preference.
To answer your question, Ms. Fattori, yes, we can do that. I don't know that we're going to get it fixed tonight. We probably need a little more time. But yes, that could be done. Now, one of the things that happens if that's done is that suddenly we potentially have a timing problem. And there's two schools of thought. One school of thought is the Ohio Constitution says what it says. And once I have an ordinance that says 3-2, to put it on the ballot, it goes. The other view is it would have to be an emergency, and now we don't have time. We have a time problem at this point. But yes, it can be discussed.
Question for you. In all the years that we've had a police department and a fire department, have we ever had this type of a process where we do look outside the rank and file in all the years of the fire and police department?
To the best of my knowledge has some limitations. My knowledge has a lot of limitations, I promise. I am not aware of that ever occurring. Now, I'm a pretty good student of Middletown history, but I can't tell you that, no, absolutely, we have always hired inside, because I'm not sure that is true.
Why all of a sudden in 2018 has it become a big issue that we need to have this happen?
I don't know that it has become a big issue. It was one of the issues that the city administration marked as they wanted the Charter Review Committee to consider it. The Charter Review Committee then had some pretty extensive discussions on this and some pretty spirited discussions, particularly with the two chiefs when they came in over the issue. And they made the decision that they wanted to recommend to put it on the ballot.
So when the Charter Review Board takes a look at all the issues in the Charter Review, they don't sit down and individually look at each one. You folks give them the guidelines that says, these are the 10, 9, 8 issues that we want you to address.
No, that's not fairly characterized.
That's
Okay, it's not fairly characterized, and I'll tell you why. The administration will say, here are some things we want you to look at that we think are worth looking at for one reason or another, either because they're timely or because there's something that might increase flexibility, whatever.
Such as the ward language cleanup, right?
Yes.
That was a
Yes.
okay.
Other issues, we go through the charter, we give them a sense of what's in the charter. And the very first thing we do is give them the opportunity to raise any issues they want to talk about. And in fact, this particular group of Charter Review Committee members raised two issues that were not on the original list. One of them is before you tonight, and that's the change from every 10 years to every 5 years. They raised that. They thought that was a good idea. The other one that they raised and discussed and chose not to bring before you was to create some kind of income tax automatic allocation for capital funds. And they were afraid, quite frankly, and we have 4 of them here, I think, or 3 of them, and 4 of them. And if any of them disagree with us, they can speak up. But basically, they were concerned about that limiting the flexibility of this council to react to things that may occur economically that it doesn't have any control over, and thereby causing some problems with the cash flow of the income tax. They felt that that restriction was just in a charter where we have to go back and have the public change it, that was a potential for inflexibility that created disaster. So those two things they brought up and made their decisions on. There are other things, because the administration knows the charter better and knows what the hot spots are and what the issues that might need to be looked at are raised by the administration. And normally that's opened up. I don't know exactly how it was done because I wasn't here through the whole process because I was out in January and February. But normally what happens is that's a process where the manager looks through it. He asks his department heads to look at it.
We also ask council.
And I think you're going to ask council if they had any thoughts. And that's where that list came from. And I just want to make it clear, it's not like this is spoon-fed and these are the things you ought to change, because it's not done that way. And I think they would testify that that's fair if I asked them to.
So can I just be clear again? Sorry that I'm new to the process. If we put this language into the charter, that would mean it would be another 5 years before we could consider new language with regard to this.
Depending on what happens to the other item on the agenda later in our list, yes.
Yeah, right, 5 or 10 years.
It would be 5 to 10 years before there would be a mandate of the charter to do it.
Right.
Do keep this in mind. Very important to understand. Anytime 5 of you say we want to change the charter, you have the right to change the charter and to propose a charter change. It has to be voted on by the public. There doesn't have to be a charter review committee for you to say, ooh, we did this and it was really a bad idea. And we want to change it. Now, you're going to have to wait till the next election, but you're not necessarily going to have to wait 5 or 10 years, no.
Okay. And then secondarily, if this language passes and we decide to pass an ordinance that has some kind of an internal first, but that ordinance at any time could be reversed.
That ordinance is your ordinance,
right,
and it is completely up to this council what that ordinance says. And that ordinance can be changed by a subsequent council, yes.
It's a little bit about permanence in terms of what you can and can't do.
It is about what's the process and the cumbersome nature of which process you follow. The charter revision process is more cumbersome and takes a longer time than an ordinance review process.
Oh, I mean, for the record, as it looks like 3 people are going to vote yes, that then makes me wish that this language had the internal first in it. And I don't know what that means in terms of feasibility, or I know there's a timing issue, but because I would vote no on this, but clearly I think we'll be in the minority, I would prefer if the ordinance itself then at least guaranteed some kind of internal first. That's my 2 cents.
Anything else I can add? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Landon. Okay, any other discussion or comments from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Nope.
Mr. Bohannon,
Nope.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-2.
Number 11 is ordinance O 2018-30, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 4, Section 3 and 5 of the charter of the city pertaining to the publication of legislation and public hearing notices.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Motion or second, any other discussion or comments? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Next matter is ordinance O 2018-31, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 5 of the charter of the city pertaining to boards and commissions.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, discussion or comments? Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
And number 13 is ordinance O 2018-32, an ordinance providing the submission to the electors of the city of Middletown an amendment to Article 1, Section 5 of the charter of the city pertaining to the Charter Review Committee.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion or second, any discussion or comments?
Just want to say that, you know, in my view, this article change would be redundant because the city council can put together a charter review committee more frequently than every 10 years. So to me, I don't think it's necessary to include.
Anything else to add? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon,
No.
Mr. Mulligan,
No.
Mayor Mulligan,
No.
Mr. Bohannon,
No.
Ms. Vettori,
No.
Okay, motion fails. Okay.
Number 14 is ordinance O 2018-33, an ordinance granting an agreement with AK Steel Corporation for a sign easement at the intersection of Research Way and Union Road.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion or second. I know we saw a presentation on this last time. Anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance O 2018-35, an ordinance amending Chapter 864, Special Police Officers of the Codified Ordinance.
Okay, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Atkins, anything to add?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything from council? Okay, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Number 16 is ordinance number O 2018-36, an ordinance amending section 209.07 for bid securities of the codified ordinance.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion or second. Mr. Atkins, anything to add from?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, anything from council? All right, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Next matter is ordinance O 2018-37, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Community Building Institute.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, anything to add from previously, Mr. Atkins?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, any questions from council? All right, Ms. Skank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Abstain.
All right, motion carries.
Number 18 is ordinance O 2018-38, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing a contract with Flatweg for the purchase of dewatering centrifuge.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion or second. Anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Any questions from council? All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Number 19 is Resolution R 2018-09, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, Counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2018 in the general fund.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
Moved.
Second?
Okay, it's our second reading. Anything to add, Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, and I apologize as I looked through this after the meeting at the last meeting. I covered the first part of this in the general as far as the upgrades on the 25,000 to the city building, and I apologize. I simply overlooked the 150,000 that we are looking to use for purchase of property for the NIP demolition grant for properties up to 25,000. I do apologize for that. Like I said, I didn't realize until I sat down the next day and went through everything that I had not covered that, and I apologize.
Any questions from council? I know we had the staff reports for that, so. All right, Ms. Kank, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Mulligan?
Yes.
Mayor Mulligan?
Yes.
Ms. Vettori?
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Number 20 is resolution number R 2018-12, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Middletown, Counties of Butler and Warren, State of Ohio, for the period ending December 31st, 2018 in the Civic Development Fund. And this is a first reading, I believe.
Mr. Atkins?
Yes, Your Honor. The city in 2017 receives $365,023.43 in hotel motel tax as required by the Ohio Revised Code. The city must spend 50% of that revenue solely to make contributions to a Convention and Visitors Bureau operating within the county in which we are wholly or partly located, which would be Warren and Butler. The city in the 2018 budget had $120,000 initially put in the budget. For that, we received more than we have, and matter of fact, that continues to go up each year now. We do need a supplemental appropriation of $62,513.21 to get up to the Ohio Revised Code for the 50% match that's required.
Any questions from council?
Is that paid twice a year?
I didn't hear you, I'm
Is
sorry.
it paid twice a year? How do we, I know I've always wondered.
It has always been once a year as the new board comes on and they decide, I mean, we can go quarterly or semi-annually. It can be done either way. In the past, it was a one-time
Annual.
contribution.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for Mr. Atkins? All right.
Next matter is ordinance O 2018-40, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the amendment and extension of a contract with Medi-Count Management Incorporated for ambulance billing services. This is also a first reading.
Your Honor, the Division of Fire transports about 7,000 patients each year. An outside contractor soft bills for these runs, charging a rate of 5.5% annually of collected revenue. In 2017, those revenues were about $1.7 million. In 2015, a 3-year contract was extended with Medi-Count Management of Cincinnati. They have been working with us since 2012. They are recommending an additional 3 years at the same price. That seems to be consistent with what's in the market. They have performed well since 2012, and we are recommending that we continue with them into the future.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay, thank you.
And last but not least is ordinance O 2018-41, an ordinance amending the pay and benefits ordinance, ordinance number O 2017-48. Also a first reading.
Yes, Your Honor. The chief building official with the city is a longtime employee. He has numerous technical certifications to perform his duty. He also oversees code enforcement and a couple other divisions. During his employment, he has taken on many supervisory duties. As the economy has improved, the department is now seeing an increased demand for inspections. And the chief building official has performed those duties without any additional payroll added on for a couple years now. Recognizing this and his value to the organization, I would like to step him up one pay range and asking for your support in doing that mid-year.
Any
Make sure we keep him.
council? Thank you. All right, that concludes our legislation for this evening. Our last item on the agenda is executive sessions. I need a motion of the authority of Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G2 to consider the purchase or sale of for public purchase or sale of real estate at competitive bidding if premature disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage, and also under the authority of Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Gank, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Mulligan,
Yes.
Ms. Vettori,
Yes.
Mr. Bohannon,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan.
Yes.
All right, following our executive session will be recessed until our next meeting, July 3rd, in these chambers. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Your Honor.